In the very beginning, before time, as we know it, even began, there was a vast, formless expanse. A canvas waiting for the master artist. The Bible tells us in Genesis, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Imagine that moment, a divine thought, a spoken word, and suddenly, existence itself burst forth. The universe was born out of nothingness, a testament to an unimaginable power and a profound love. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. It was a chaotic, empty space. But then, a voice echoed through the silence. "Let there be light!" And there was light. This wasn't just any light. It was the first dawn, a divine illumination that pierced the gloom. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. This was the first great act of bringing order out of chaos, of setting boundaries and establishing the rhythm of day and night. A structure was being built, a home was being prepared, as God continued his work, shaping the skies, gathering the waters into seas, and calling forth dry land, a symphony of creation unfolded. He adorned the new world with vibrant plant life, grass, herbs, and fruit trees, each yielding seed according to its kind. Think of the sheer beauty and diversity in that. Every leaf, every flower, a unique expression of the Creator's artistry. The universe was no longer silent and empty. It was teeming with potential, alive with the promise of what was to come. Above, in the heavenly realms, a different kind of life already existed. Countless angels, beings of pure light and spirit, served and worshipped God. The book of Job hints at this when it says the morning stars sang together and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Can you imagine that sound? A celestial choir, their voices rising in perfect harmony, celebrating the dawn of creation. Heaven was a place of absolute peace, unity, and adoration, all centered around the throne of the Almighty. Everything was in its right place, functioning according to a perfect, divine plan. Among these magnificent beings was one of the highest, an angel described as the morning star, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. He walked among the fiery stones of heaven, a guardian cherub, adorned with every precious stone. His brilliance was second only to God himself. He was part of this perfect harmony, a key instrument in the heavenly orchestra. The universe was filled with peace, from the highest heavens to the newly formed earth below. There was no shadow of conflict, no hint of discord. It was a reality of pure goodness, bathed in the glorious light of its creator. But as we know, this perfect peace was not destined to last forever. A choice was made. A seed of pride was planted in the heart of that most beautiful angel. He looked at his own glory and desired to be like the Most High. This desire, this rebellion against the perfect order, would introduce a new, terrifying sound into the symphony of creation, a roar of defiance. It was a choice that would ripple through eternity, casting a long shadow over the beautiful world God had made. And this is where our story truly begins to unfold. How could something so perfect be fractured? The shift was monumental. The angel, once known as Lucifer, meaning light-bringer, made a declaration in his heart: I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. This was not just a fleeting thought. It was a profound act of rebellion against his very creator. His pride turned his inner light into darkness. He was no longer content to reflect God's glory. He wanted that glory for himself. He convinced a third of the angels in heaven to join him in this uprising, shattering the perfect unity and harmony that had once defined the celestial realm. Imagine the sorrow in the heart of God. His creation, made in perfection, was now marred by this rebellion. War erupted in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels, but the rebels were not strong enough. Their place was no longer found in heaven. Lucifer, now called Satan, the adversary, was cast down to the earth, along with his followers. The roar of defiance that began as a whisper in his heart now echoed with the fury of a fallen king. His fall was like lightning from heaven, a brilliant light extinguished and sent plummeting into the world that was meant for peace. His arrival on earth changed everything. The beautiful garden, The peaceful coexistence was now targeted by his envy and malice. He came as a deceiver, a serpent in the grass, whispering lies to the first humans, Adam and Eve. He questioned God's goodness, twisted his words, and planted a seed of doubt. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? He introduced the idea that God was holding something back, that obedience was a cage, not a protection. This was his new strategy, to corrupt what he could not create, to tear down what he could not build. And so, the first humans faced a choice, just as the angel had. A choice between trusting the word of their loving creator and heeding the tempting whisper of the deceiver. Tragically, they chose to listen to the lie. In that single act of disobedience, sin entered the world. The perfect fellowship they had with God was broken. Shame, fear, and guilt, emotions they had never known, flooded their hearts. The ground was cursed, and the harmony of creation was fractured. The roar of Satan was no longer just a sound of heavenly rebellion. It was now a painful reality on earth, bringing with it suffering, decay, and separation from God. But here is the most incredible part of the story. None of this took God by surprise. Even before the foundations of the world were laid, he knew this would happen. And he already had a plan. A plan not just to fix what was broken, but to bring about something even more glorious than what was lost. God's plan was not thwarted by Satan's roar. In a mysterious way, that roar was factored into the grand design. Right there in the garden, after the fall, God gave the first promise of a savior. He told the serpent, "I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel." This was the first whisper of the gospel, the good news that a rescuer was coming. A plan was set in motion that would culminate in the greatest act of love the universe has ever seen. The adversary had won a battle, but the war was far from over. God's ultimate purpose was to redeem and restore, to overcome darkness with an even greater light. The roar of Satan, intended to signal his victory, would ultimately be silenced by the sacrificial love of God's own Son. The story wasn't over. In fact, the most important chapter was just beginning. And it's a story of hope that shines brightest against the backdrop of our darkest moments. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores these profound truths. See you next time!